So after days of waiting, 5.14 has finally arrived, and if you guys don't know the context of this one, Bethesda has been posting suspicious images on their Twitter as well as actually on their Instagram later on in the process, all alluding to something coming on 5.14. Now in reality, by like day 2, most of us knew it was going to be, Rage 2. Yeah, so Bethesda dropped the cinematic trailer for Rage 2 this morning. And I mean, it looks pretty cool, right? I mean, it definitely seems like it's going to be exciting, share a lot of the things that Rage 1 featured. They actually also mentioned that they're going to be dropping the gameplay trailer tomorrow at 10 a.m., or it's estimated to be about 10 a.m. I'm personally more excited for the gameplay trailer. As cool as the cinematic trailer is, it's, you know, I'd rather just see the actual game. Either way, there are still quite a few things to take away from the cinematic trailer. One of the major themes of Rage 1, and if you don't know much about Rage 1, like I didn't up until like 2 hours ago, more or less, it's very similar to Mad Max. That's one of the easiest comparisons to actually make. On the Rage website that has actually popped up, Bethesda is describing Rage 2 as, or answering the question of what is Rage 2 as, dive headfirst into a dystopian world devoid of society, law, and order. Rage 2 brings together a true open world FPS experience where you can go anywhere, shoot anything, and explode everything. And yeah, I mean, that pretty much sums it up. That's kind of what this game is all about and what the former one was all about. Rage 1 was more or less this open world game. You exited from a vault into this wasteland. Sound familiar? And from there, it was extremely combat focused, where you actually took down many different enemies. You had crafting systems, you could create cool little sentry turrets, modify your weapons, there was vehicles. Again, it was an open world game. And really the cornerstone of that game was the combat. It was a ton of fun and very intuitive. But the story fell very flat on its face. It was super basic and it really just wasn't all that interesting. The main appeal of the game was actually just going from point A to point B and shooting things at each of those locations and hopefully along the way. Based on the description of Rage 2 by Bethesda, it seems like this is going to be more of the same. Hopefully they improve the story at least somewhat. It's not really clear as to whether or not we're inhabiting the same character, but to get back to that cinematic trailer, it seems like it's going to be more of the same. Things are going to be very over the top, explosive. There's probably going to be some really overpowered equipment you can get throughout this game, as well as actually similar to Rage 1, a lot of the enemies and especially the bosses were like caricatures, very exaggerated versions of what you'd picture that person to be. Based off this trailer, it seems like that's going to be very common in Rage 2 also, as well as there's robots, humans, and interesting third races. Actually, some of the things from that trailer though, it's either a really good CGI or that's an in-game shot, which looks really interesting, because if that actually is like an in-game shot, that looks amazing. Either way, I'm definitely not cut out to do a proper trailer breakdown. I don't know nearly enough about Rage to do something like that. Plus, on a cinematic trailer, I feel like it kind of defeats the purpose. Let's wait for the gameplay trailer tomorrow, and then we'll see what this game actually looks like and what it's actually going to play like. And then one final piece of information about this that's actually pretty interesting that has been weirdly secretive, or maybe that's not intentional, but it's definitely hard to find out who's making this game. If you look at the cover art, if you look at anything that Bethesda has really released officially, it just shows Bethesda Softworks. Bethesda Softworks is a publisher, not a developer, so who made Rage 2? Well, to make a long story short, it actually seems like this news website, GamerStar, is having a interview published tomorrow. And actually update as I'm recording this, there was another source for this also only on the German Bethesda website. So listed on the German websites and on the main Rage 2 German Bethesda website is Avalanche. These are the guys that developed Just Cause 1, 2, and 3, as well as the Mad Max game from a few years ago. Both of those are open world shooters, Mad Max being very heavily around vehicles and vehicle customization, but also there's like a second developer, or seemingly id Software also worked on this. It's not like entirely clear what the arrangement here was, but more or less it seems like Avalanche might have been like the main developer with help from id. If you don't know, id made the original Rage as well as recently made the new Doom game. They also hold the trademark to Rage, but I think a lot of us were just assuming id was going to make this game outright by themselves. It's very interesting that they didn't play as primary a role this time around. A lot of people are really hoping for a Doom 2 announcement at this E3. Could this be suggesting that id Software was also working on something else? They took a backseat on Rage 2 in order to work on whatever new game they do have coming. And even beyond all of that is another announcement from Bethesda coming out before their E3 conference. I can't imagine Rage is going to get a ton of the spotlight at E3 during the conference, if any time, because I got all this time leading up to it. This makes me pretty hopeful for some of this stuff getting announced at E3 this year to be big and not some of those more minor DLCs or forgettable things that we had like last year. Another pretty big implication of this is Avalanche isn't owned by ZeniMax. More or less, ZeniMax and Bethesda Softworks hired Avalanche to create this game that they held the IP to. One of the other super memorable times we know that Bethesda did this was with Obsidian and Fallout New Vegas. That's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. As always, I thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.